Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm lead pastor Matt Franks here of Tahlequah United Methodist Church, and joining me today is my wife Ashley Franks. I'm inviting her to my table, my office table, to have conversation today about. We're bringing to a close our sermon series on the joy of a bigger table, and so I asked Ashley to come in today to kind of talk about, what she's thinking about that and what she's thought about that throughout the series. And just, we'll have a little bit of a dialogue here for this time. We'd like for let us know that you're here in the comments section by just chiming in saying, hey, I'm here. If you've got questions or if you got comments, please also feel free to comment in those sections. So that way we can try to chime back, or maybe later on as you're watching this video, whenever you're watching it, we'll try to stay up with it. I try to stay up with it at least until Friday. And if I try to respond back to any questions that may come out. And so, that's there for you. But we thank you for joining us today. And so, Ashley, as you think about this sermon series that we've been doing, what are some examples or some ways that you have been thinking about in this joy of building a bigger table?
I think I like the fact that you use the word joy of building a bigger table, because I think that helps bring more enthusiasm and when we're approaching doing something that's going to be out of our comfort zone. Because no matter what, if we're going to be opening up our table to people who are not the normal people at our table, it's out of your comfort zone. But there's joy that you're going to find in that. There's going to be joy in the relationships that you can establish that are new. There's going to be joy in the interactions you have with people that you maybe would never have had a conversation with. I just like the fact that you use that word.
So, and some of that is that I wanted to be this season that we're in this quarter, I've asked us to look at different things, and this season's joy. And I really want, as I think about this week, as we talk about All Saints, I'm going to talk about some of the joys that can come from All Saints, but also some of the joys of remembering those in the empty seats that occupy our tables. And as you think about what you had just said, what are some biblical examples of this joy of building a larger table that maybe we haven't touched in worship, or as I've been talking about these last couple of weeks in this Bible study, what are some joys biblically that you kind of stir up within you?
Well, I mean, while it's somewhat been touched, when I was thinking of the woman at the well and the fact that Jesus went to Samaria, he went to an area that it was going across the border. It was talking to those that were the ones you didn't talk to. You didn't associate with these people. And he not only went there, but he had interaction with them, just like we have with the woman in the well. And her life was completely changed because of that. And not only was her life changed, but she ran back to her community and brought her community to Jesus. And Jesus spent time ministering to these people. And I think it's a great way of acknowledging that he didn't just stick with his comfort zone. He didn't stick with even just the Jewish people as he knew them, or the Israelites as he knew them. He went out to what was kind of the forbidden area. You didn't go there. I grew up in the city. There were parts of the city. You didn't go to that street. You didn't go to that part of the city. And that's exactly where he went. He went to that spot and he'd established relationships with them. While the interaction we have is specifically with the woman at the well, he spent time with them afterwards. If you look at the scriptures after that story, he interacted with the community that came to find him. And that reached more than you can imagine, and it changed their lives more than we could imagine. And I think if Jesus is willing to go out, then maybe we need to go out beyond our comfort zone to whatever you don't go there and talk to those people, whoever that is for you. It tells me that maybe we need to be willing to do things that are not comfortable all the time.
And I think that also too leans into the idea of building relationships with people, and thinking about those spaces that we can create those relationships with, whether it be at the store or when you eat dinner or lunch, or wherever it is you're out and about. One of the things I try to be cautious of or conscious of is when we're doing soccer things or sporting things, and who's around, and maybe who's someone who I haven't seen in a while, and reach out to them and say, hey, how's it going? Or try to develop new relationships with people that I wouldn't have elsewise because of just the nature of life and all that things. Ashley, as you think about that, like in your job at the school, what are some ways that you try to build bigger tables?
That's a good question. I think with my job, because I'm now in the office, previously I've been with the kids. And so to me, it was talking to all the kids, not necessarily having a favorite that you would give more attention to, but no matter who they are, even if they're the kid with lots of behavior issues, you still show them loving kindness. But now I'm in the front, and often I'm dealing with whoever comes into our building, and how do I treat them when they come in? And even as simple as what kind of greeting do I give them? Do I just go, hey, what do you need? Or am I saying, hey, or not even say, hey, I don't say that. I say, what can I do? How can I help you today? I mean, I think just the general rapport that you try to establish with people so they feel comfortable coming into my building is a new way that I'm trying to show loving kindness to more than I had before, because I'm in a new position.
And I think that that's where, like, being self-aware where we're at and how we can create those spaces, building a larger table comes in handy, because like the more we become self-aware, how am I conducting myself? How am I sharing myself with others? Sometimes we're both introverts, and so sometimes we go into our collective shells, and we're not one of those people that are going to just go constantly out and be out at the forefront. And so when we do that, it does expend a lot of energy, and it does take a lot more for us to do that. And it doesn't mean that we can't do it, and it doesn't mean that we won't do it. It just means that we have to be cautious of how we do that, because if we're constantly doing that, we're going to drain ourselves so much that it won't, that joy won't be there anymore. And it'll just be like, I got to do this because I got to do this. And I think that when we're tactful, and we realize that there are things that we have to do versus there are things that we want to do to build the kingdom of God, it changes our perspective a little bit, in that we go from being me-centered to Christ-centered. And far too often, I think that we become so, with our faith and what we do, we become so me-centered. How I feel, what am I getting out of this? That really, in reality, it's about what am I giving to this, and what am I sharing with the world, and sharing myself. And I think of the choir and people who serve in the church, like they're going at great lengths to help build that larger table. And the more we have opportunities for that to occur, for people to be engaged and to be involved with it, the better off we are. And we're now I shared this with the care team on Tuesday. We are now in the process of rebooting because of COVID. We now have hit reboot, and we're rebooting things, and we're trying to get things back up off the ground. The youth ministry is getting back up off the ground. The choir's back. The bells are back. You're seeing Bible studies and UMW groups. All these things are kind of coming back, but they're coming back in a different way. And some of them are coming back in new things and doing new things. Obviously, we're doing new things with technology. You have a Monday night Bible study that meets. We have our prayer time that meets on Zoom and in person. We offer this. We have a Sunday school class that meets in person and through Zoom in a hybrid version. And we're in this newness that allows us this reboot process. I think of it like this: we're in the time of, if you've ever downloaded new software for your computer, let's say you're operating a new operating system. Maybe you put a new operating system on your phone. It always reboots before the new thing comes on. It doesn't install the software, and then like boom, you're like the Apple just went to Apple iOS 15. And like, it doesn't just like, when you hit download, agree to download, it just automatically go to 15. It takes time to reboot, and it takes time to reestablish it. And then you have this whole new operating system. While some things look familiar and are easy to use, there are some things you're just like, oh no, I don't know how to use this. And then there are some things you discover along the way, like, wow, I didn't know this existed before. And I found that out on my phone. There's some things I learned just recently on my phone that I could do that are really cool. And I'm loving using them. And I think that the only way that we do that is we have to willing to engage it and just go all in. And I think the same thing goes with our faith, is that there are going to be those times when we're in these reboots, because it does happen throughout our whole lives. There are times where we have to hit reboot or we change course, that sometimes we're in a newness of things, and we just have to dive in and not be afraid. And that's where God never abandons us, is always with us in every step and every breath that we take. Something I say all the time, because that's something I believe. And it's not only just for me to say it, it's for me to remind myself that even in those times where I'm doing something that's not normal to me, that I'm not alone in this, that God is with us. And so that joy from the larger table, like that building it, we shouldn't be afraid. God is with us, and God is calling each and every one of us to experience this newness that we're experiencing now. I'm not going to say post-COVID, because we're not out of the woods just yet, but I'm going to say that the light is at the end of the tunnel, and we're getting closer to that new normal. And as we get closer to that new normal, we're going to be able to build and do some amazing things. And it's going to take each and every one of us to engage and to not say, I'd like to go back the way it was, because that's not going to happen. No. But what if we could say, I'm looking forward to what is to come? And so, Ashley, as we kind of wrap this up, what are kind of some closing thoughts for you?
Well, I like that you used the analogy with the reboot. I think we say that and people are like, oh, they roll their eyes. But the reality of it is it just means that we've gone through a big change. COVID has it's kind of put the world through this huge change, and churches is just the same. It doesn't mean we're going to come out of it ruined. It means that we just need to give ourselves the grace and time, and be willing to try some things new. And I know that's hard. I know that people really struggle with that, because you miss the old and they miss the way it was. But I like the idea of going with the expectation of, we're going to go through this time right now where we need to have patience. And that's something that's so hard for everybody. Human nature is very hard to be patient and wait. But if we're patient, I think we're going to find ourselves in this new place that we're going to have a lot of beauty in. And I think that people are going to be ministered to in new ways. And I think that's a great thing. I think people are going to be reached in new ways. And even those that have been in the church their entire life, and I'm one of those, we might even discover something new for us too. And I think instead of dwelling on the past and only missing, we've kind of been through our time of grieving. I think it's time now to start looking and be excited for what can come from this, and be willing to do the thing that I always say is think outside the box. We need to do things new and differently. And for someone who leads a Zoom Bible study, can say that it's beautiful. It was something that didn't exist before. It exists now. And it's a group I look forward to every single week getting together to do. And that would not have happened if we had not gone through what we went through with COVID. Not only the fact that it's on Zoom, which is kind of nice. It's nice to be able to be home and not have to travel to get to Bible study. But it also creates a different kind of space that there's a comfort there, but it's a different type of comfort. And it's a different kind of experience than even when I'm at Sunday school when we're in person. And it's a newness, but it's a good thing. And it's a positive thing that would not have come if we had not gone through what we went through. So I think there's a lot of exciting things to come. And I think that if we start looking forward and thinking this is an amazing new time, and this is a time that God is still present, that God has not gone anywhere, and that we can still worship God and we can still be a church. I think beautiful things can come from that. That sometimes our fear keeps us from being able to see.
That's a good way to wrap up today. And I want to share with you a couple things. We're hoping to get the newsletter out tomorrow. So be in the lookout on the mail for those of you that receive it in mail. Those of you that get it digitally, it should go out hopefully tomorrow if we can get it all finalized and printed. And then Sunday is our All Saints Sunday, where we'll have Holy Communion. For those of you that don't attend in person and you still want to receive Holy Communion after service, let us know and we'll have that available for you. Just text me or Shanna and we'll be glad to serve you Holy Communion. We'll honor those saints that have gone before us. We have 5 names this year that we'll honor that have passed away since last All Saints Day. And it's one of my favorite Sundays because it's a Sunday that we remember those names of people, and not only we remember those, but we remember those saints that have gone before us. And we're gonna have some special music. We have we have the choir, and then we have a duet by Haizuki and Emily are going to share a duet together, and it's beautiful. They practiced last week, and just you're in for a treat. Let me tell you. We're getting time on Sunday night. From 4:30 to 4:36, trunk or treat. If you're going to participate, we have about 20 cars signed up, which is amazing. If you're going to participate, we need you there at least by 4 o'clock so we can get you centered. I'm going to have Sarah positioned where you can know where to check in, and then she'll tell you where you're going to go. We're going to try to space everybody out so that we can keep people not from bunching up, and we can do this as safely as possible. We could always use more candy. We have a lot, but we could always use more. It was really cool today. I have to admit, it was really cool today to get an Amazon box full of candy from someone special today who sent us some candy. That was kind of cool. So if you did that, thank you. If you're watching from afar and you're not close to Tahlequah and you want to continue doing that, please continue to do that. We'd be glad to receive your candy, and just let us know. And this is a great community event. We're really looking forward to it. This is like our big first community event in a long time. We have a lot going on that's coming up, and the best way to connect in is going to the website at tahlequahumc.org. You can see all that our events are through our worship stuff, and then through our social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You're more than it's really easy to connect in with us. And we want to encourage you to also don't forget to hit subscribe on the end of this video so you can subscribe to our church's YouTube videos or Facebook things so you know what's going on in the life of our church. But I want to leave you with this benediction. You are not alone. God is with you. And that should bring you great joy. No matter where you are on life's journey or life's faith, God is with you and you are loved by God. So go and share that love with everyone you meet, and do not be afraid because God is with you. Go in peace. We'll see you Sunday. Have a good day.